I got that off the ground because enough people in this industry saw me and the idea I had and what we wanted to achieve, or I wanted to achieve, and went, I want to be part of that, and I think you can do it.
Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Birmingham Food Cob Pass.
Cob Pass.
This is the podcast all about cobs. No, it's not.
Yo, I could do a podcast on cobs.
Oh, we should do a special on cobs, you know. I love cobs.
What's your favourite cob?
Cheese, but like thick. Cheese and onion, but the onion is as thick as the cheese. You know what I mean? And I mean thick.
I like a cheese and onion cob with loads of butter, and they're all in equal quantities. So equal quantity bread to cheese and onion to cheese and butter. Just basically a ball of just something that's going to give you a heart attack. With
a pack of cheese and onion crisps on the side. Taters would be amazing.
Ideally taters if you can get them,
and I'll tell you what, a pint of bitter with a cheese cob was one of the best things ever when I used to drink. That was my favourite. That was just going to a quiet pub.
Yeah, a nice porter does me with that.
Or Guinness, Guinness or something that's good with it as well. Anything like that just goes so nice with the cheese.
You know, I don't think there's a cob I don't like.
Yeah, any cob. As long as it depends on how good the cob itself is, the bread.
Yeah. I like the flaky ones that just like crunchy, you squish them.
Yeah. Probably going to start a riot now, because we called it a cob. Cob, whatever you want to call it.
We go with cob. Well, we went with cob because that's how you pronounce the podcast.
Yeah.
Cobcast.
Yeah, cobcast.
But yeah, what do you say, cob?
Well, for me, a cob was like a crusty kind of thing. But if it's soft,
Cob's
I call it a bap.
And bap. Yeah, I'm the same. If it's soft, I call it a bap. If it's crusty, I call it a cob.
Yeah. This is the weirdest intro to our podcast ever, but this is Breaking Bread.
I think we've started a debate. I think there'll be people like, which one do you call it? Which one?
Oh, it's been going on for years, and it's like...
No, but the difference between a crusty one and a soft one. Yeah,
or a roll. Some people call them roll, but the roll for me is more like,
roll
like
is
the hot
right. It's what you've got a hot dog in.
Yeah,
it's a roll.
That's a roll, yeah.
Either way, here we go.
Something to think about at the start of the podcast. Joe Rogan, get your mind going, so do we. As you've heard, that's Carl, my awesome co-host, and I'm Liam.
What?
How you doing? Oh yeah, you got in there before me. I always ask you. Me, I'm all right actually.
Head of the game.
I'm doing well. I'm happy. Got another podcast out. We have been a little bit sporadic as of late. Things have been busy, man. We've had loads of family commitments. I've had family over from Ireland. You've been on holiday.
Yep.
So we're always here. Don't worry, we're not disappearing. We'll never be gone.
No, I don't. If I could win the Euro Millions, I wouldn't leave Birmingham. Don't worry about it. I'm here for the long haul.
Next question. I would have some kind of house in Birmingham, I think.
Oh, I'd just, I'd probably live around here. I'd live where I live now. I like where I live.
Well, yeah, I'd probably keep my house. That's what I'd say. I'd keep my house now where I am. Maybe get something cool in Sturchley, just to have a base in Sturchley.
Nah, you just have a driver.
Or a flat. Maybe a flat in city centre.
That'd be handy.
Either way, we're definitely not winning no lottery, mate.
Nah.
People like us don't win a lottery. Boring people will be like, oh, I'm not going to leave my job.
They still work and they just put it all in savings and then leave it to a dog or a cat. You're like,
we would die so young. We'd have like Simpsons for lunch, Adams for dinner.
Yeah.
Every day.
We do have a friend. We do have a friend who generally didn't play the lottery because he said if he had ever won it, he'd have probably died from excess.
Yeah, I'd probably agree.
I think he probably would have.
Yeah, I think we probably would as well.
Yeah,
fairness.
so.
We've been out a little bit, haven't we?
Been out, yeah. We're good, old man. Cleopatra's has opened in Shirley now. Oh. That was hard not keeping that. Because we've known about that for a very long time.
Yeah.
And keeping that under wraps has been difficult. But
we love that they came to Shirley as well.
Hopefully some more stuff will come and open in Shirley because it's getting there slowly.
I'm having Cleopatra's tonight, man. They've got an amazing story as well, We're trying to get them on the podcast. If you're listening, damn it, we want you on the podcast, man.
Well, they've said, it's just, it's just getting diaries to work, isn't it? Same with everything.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, uncool Shirley to super cool Sturchley. It feels like something is opening there every month. Like,
It is.
it's
That's why.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They've obviously got Buddha Belly now. I don't even know if we spoke. We're still mad to get there. We tried to book a couple of times, hasn't matched.
Yeah, we've gone to go twice now and haven't been able to get a table, which is good for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
bad for us, good for them.
Bad for us, good for them. And then Deadbeat. I mean, everyone knows how much we love Sham. Like,
yeah, the man behind Boneheads opened up his dive bar in Sturchley, and he's got nights on there with different pop-ups for food. We haven't managed to hit any yet, but we're certainly going to try.
I was good about that. Even this weekend was
OPM doing pizza. Yeah, I wanted to go to that as well.
We're just so busy at the minute. It's ridiculous.
He's got Ravine Rabbit coming up. That one's in a couple of weeks.
Everyone's raving about it.
Yeah. I've got to try Ash's food, man. It looks great.
Everyone's raving about that.
But he's got loads of pop-ups, and then his own food comes in. But the bar's great. It plays all the music. Like, it's our bar.
It's our dream bar.
Like, it's just the music we listen to. Like,
alcohol
it's what I listen to in the house.
Alcohol-free mash gang. I love mash gang. The best alcohol-free beer gang.
Again, it's another bar that's great for you.
Yeah.
Like, with the options of non-alcohol.
My favourite music. My favourite beer. Perfect.
Yeah, and my favourite, like, good options. They've always got a Daya on, and I love Daya. And they've got other great beers and music and his own food. Like, it's a mystery when they start doing their own food, what it's going to be. But you know, whatever it is, it's going to be cool as fuck.
It's going to be brilliant. You can guarantee it.
The last time we went to we hadn't been there. One of the best pizza places in Birmingham, Alicia's.
Do you know what? I felt bad. Do you know places that were there before Sturchley got cool?
Yeah.
Like, Alicia's was the OG. It was the one that was always there, like, and everyone raved about it. But we just never. And then all of a sudden, everywhere came at once, and it was like you're trying to get around all the new places, and you forget sometimes about the old places. And I feel bad about that because when we went, it was brilliant.
Oh, pizza was phenomenal.
Yeah, you can see why it's a lot of people's favourites. I mean, even when I put the post up on Insta, so many people were like, "It's the best." I was like, people are passionate about Alicia's, man, and rightly so.
Like it,
the dude who owns it, met him as well. Nice man.
Yeah, I'm not getting into the argument of the best because mine changes every week, especially with pizza.
I keep saying with pizza, it's different things. So, like, I love pizza, but
it's different pizza.
Pizza's completely different to pole.
It's the same name of the thing, but they're very different. Well, you look at the ones OPM were slinging the other day, like pizza pies, Chicago style, deep ones.
I'm surprised nobody's doing that in Birmingham, to be honest.
I've got a recipe book, so I'm going to just learn how to do it and I'll start doing it.
I would love to try one. I would absolutely love to.
When I
the
do
cheese
one,
on top. No, the cheese at the bottom and the sauce on the top.
Once I've done it, you can come around and try it.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Because I've got a proper American book for it as well. Where else have we been? I suppose we've got one other place that's opened up in Birmingham recently, Bunderbust.
Oh, yeah, Bunderbust, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Well, actually, we haven't been to the one in Birmingham yet because we couldn't go to the opening party. But we got took up to Manchester.
Yeah, tried two in Manchester. If it's half as good as the ones in Manchester, then it'd be great. I mean,
imagine it'd be exactly the same. But what sets this one apart is their own beer. Like, their own beer is great, and they've got a big selection as well.
Vegetarian.
Yeah, all the food's veggie. Food was great.
Didn't miss the meat at all. No, I didn't. It was all brilliant.
I do find with that type of food, it's the only type of veggie food where you don't really notice the meat missing.
I love the scrambled egg dish that Chris Fat Foodie had. I thought it was class.
Yeah. No, all the food there was good. All the beer was good. The one in Birmingham. I said we'll get down there, but yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it.
This weekend, Birmingham Cocktail Weekend.
Yeah, man. We timed this one well.
Yeah.
Our timings are usually like, it's just happened and then we end up releasing the podcast. So we've done well to time this one.
Managed to get this one out real fast. She was great at talk. Alex.
Yeah, we had Alex on.
The creator of, she's from, her business is called Living for the Weekend. She does Birmingham Cocktail Weekend, Birmingham Restaurant Festival, Birmingham Wine Weekend. Just really just creating these awesome events to kind of get people into these awesome venues.
Yeah.
Get people into Birmingham. It's basically like we're on this campaign to say Birmingham isn't shit and show people that it's not shit by sharing these amazing stories. And she's doing the same by saying, look, Birmingham's not shit. Come and have a look. Come in these venues and have a look and see how brilliant they are. Like, you know,
I think Birmingham's reputation is a lot better now. I do think it's seen as quite good. But it's one of them. It's to show people just how good it really is. Like, and the places that signed up to her restaurant stuff and the cocktail places, like, she's got nearly all the good places on there have signed up to it. And some aren't purely just because of timing.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, it's just a passion for Birmingham.
She's not even from Birmingham, which makes it even more special. You know, it's all right, us loving it. We had no choice. We were born here.
You do find we've had a few people on that are not necessarily from Birmingham,
Yeah.
but their passion for the city has just like gripped them.
More passionate than a lot of people from Birmingham.
Yeah, well, there's sort of like that whole adopted vibe. They're like brought in and
It's like
took under their,
Tom, isn't it?
bring them under their wing and just like
She
fell in love with
chose
the
to be
city.
here.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
could go back home, but she chooses to be in this city because it's brilliant.
Yeah, arguably these people love it more than we do.
That's true. Well, we still choose to be here.
Yeah, we choose.
And we did start this podcast by saying if we won the lottery, we'd still choose to live
Yeah.
it. So, yeah, it all kind of ties in. But this weekend, get yourself out there. You have to get your ticket online.
Such good value as well.
£5 a
Jesus.
cocktail. It's
Three
like
cocktails in, you've made your money back.
It's like the old days. It's like the 2000s again.
know
Bar
what?
Senza.
Yeah, it's even cheaper than that. Like 2 cocktails in, you've made your money back.
Yeah.
Like, unreal.
You don't get many cocktails for less than £12 now.
No.
No. So
true.
these are £5 to go. Passing fancies, £5 cocktail. Yep. 5, mate. 5. I know. Even Carl's in
Can't believe
disbelief.
that. £5.
He's doubting himself.
You can't
now.
get a beer for £5 without a cocktail.
That's ridiculous. £4 for the alcohol freeze, which has made a big effort with this year as well, which obviously made me happy. If you love what we do and you want to help us support Birmingham a lot more, you can do a couple of things for us. You can subscribe to the podcast. You can share our stuff on Insta. Or if you really love us, you can buy us a coffee. All of this stuff really helps spread the positive Birmingham message and tell as many people as possible just how amazing the city is.
Well, that's it, man. It all just helps us do the podcast better.
Yeah.
We don't get anything for this. Like,
Nah.
it's a passion project.
Yeah, we love it. Brilliant episode, full of great business advice and just passion for Birmingham. Here's Alex, living for the weekend.
Imagine that life. I have on my wish list, I've got a massive list of stuff I want to do before I'm dead or whatever, and one of them is book a flight without a return flight. I've never done it. I'm just organised. I always know when I'm coming back. I think that's a bit boring.
Yeah, I'm very, very organised, so I couldn't do that. I'd be worrying, I've got to book a flight at some point.
What time? When do I need to go? But I think it'd be quite freeing. My hope is it would be quite freeing.
That's how we grew up there. Like when we went to Ireland for every summer holiday, it was like, when did you return? Don't know. My dad's just come over. He came over for my daughter's communion. We're like, when are you going back there? He's like, I haven't booked anything yet.
The thing is, what I'd do is I'd pretend, basically, I'd be like, I'm going and I haven't got a return flight. But there'd be a date in my diary that I just can't imagine a scenario where I don't have.
No.
And then I'd just be a bit stressed that I hadn't got a flight. And I'd probably have one in my basket kind of thing online.
See, I feel adventurous just getting a train that's open return.
Oh my gosh.
That feels like
dangerous.
Yeah.
Living on the edge.
It's like get any train, brilliant.
I'm probably going to leave a lot of that in, So this is the start of the podcast.
Oh yeah, we'll just leave
is
everything.
how we
Don't
start.
worry. There's an intro done separately.
I've listened.
This isn't the intro.
Yeah, we do it separate.
Our bad chat about
Yeah.
how incapable we are of living life.
I don't know which, we done that. I think it was the second one with Cray, where I think we went nearly the whole podcast without saying the name of the restaurant that he was opening.
I know, yeah. That's when he was open,
literally
6, 7,
the
we
worst
never
PR
said it.
people ever. 3 of us were like,
Got to the end, and mate, did you want to say anything?
It's the problem when you do ones with people you're quite pally with, though. You
yeah.
just forget that you're doing a podcast. And you're supposed to have an aim to why you're doing it, and you just instantly goes out the window.
Well, it's like if you're interviewing someone that you know for a job, and it's so difficult for them because they've got to tell you so this is what the job I do, and you're like, yeah, I know you do it for me, but please do tell me for the sake of the panel. It's difficult.
Yeah, so we don't do that. Welcome, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Probably
Good.
better known to everyone as the organizer of Birmingham Cocktail Weekend, Birmingham Wine Weekend, Birmingham Restaurant Festival.
Yeah.
I think that's it for now.
Yeah, for now. Well,
For
Bristol
now.
Cocktail Weekend as well
Bristol,
now.
yeah. Branching out. We don't talk about other cities.
There you go. Cut that bit later then.
Joking. Jokes. Cocktail Weekend is this weekend.
Cocktail Weekend is this weekend. That's what we're saying. We're
That's
sticking to the
awesome.
story. Yeah, so exciting times, busy times, but yeah, really good. Really looking forward to it.
So Birmingham Cocktail Weekend, that's where all this really started for yourself, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Cocktail Weekend was our very first festival. So that's been running for 9 years now. This is the 9th year.
9 years?
Yeah.
I remember it coming out as well.
Planning for the 10th anniversary at the moment, which is next year. So we obviously had a gap in COVID. We did 1 year that was cocktail boxes from home.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then 1 year that was kind of an adaptation of what we were allowed to do at that point in time, which feels like just a different world now looking back. But yeah, this is year 9. So 43 venues this year, was due to be 45, but 2 closures, which is kind of sign of the times. Really last minute ones as well. So jukeboxes just a couple of weeks ago, and actually one that had an issue with kind of facilities issue, so a little bit different. But yeah, going to be brilliant.
So 1 cocktail in each over the weekend then?
1 cocktail in each, yeah. £5 signature cocktail in every venue. There are people that try and do them all every year, but obviously
I think that's a bit of a stretch even for
we
myself.
like to this as
I'd give it a good go.
Drinking. So lots of food offers, some mocktails this year. Definitely no pressure from us to do all of the venues. But the joy of the festival, the way it's shaped, is you can kind of dip in for as much or as little as you like. So you get your wristband and then you can pop along and kind of do a couple of venues on Friday night, and that might be all you do. Or you can do what kind of some of the harder core fans do and kind of start when the first venue opens on Friday and finish when the last venue closes on Sunday.
Treat it as a proper sort of festival weekend.
Yeah,
all of
do
them.
all the events, all the food offers, get chatting to as many people as you can. Yeah.
So anyone who doesn't know, do you have to go onto the website and get your wristbands first, and then you just go in and show them your wristband in the venue? And
kind of, yeah. So you buy an e-ticket online.
Okay.
So our website, birminghamcocktailweekend.co.uk, head over to buy your wristband, and then you swap your ticket basically at the hub. So we have a hub every year. This year it's the Highland Park hub at Hotel Devan, and you swap your e-ticket for the wristband. So you come down and see me and the team, and yeah, exchange that bit of paper for a cloth wristband and a paper guidebook that tells you everything you need to know about the festival, all the details of the venues, all the opening hours, dress codes, you name it, it's all in there, and the food offers and the special events. Yeah, the whole lot.
how much is it?
So it's wristbands start at £10.
Yeah.
And then all of the signature cocktails are £5. And this is the first year we've introduced no alcohol alternatives into the mix. And those venues that are offering that, there's about 18 of them. Those are £4. So it's all super
It's a
value,
good discount.
Yeah.
You're talking 9, 10, 12 quid for cocktails nowadays. A normal
even more.
range, yeah.
So I mean, some of the venues, if you think about, that are taking part, Arel are taking part, Tattoo, Isaac's, Passing Fancies. You've got venues that, yeah, certainly at that £10 and above mark. So yeah, you really do only need to have a couple of cocktails, and it's extraordinary value. But for those people that are enjoying it over the whole long weekend, yeah, it's really, it should hopefully gives people an opportunity to get out there and explore the city.
Obviously, we'll talk more about it, but how did it start? Are you from Birmingham?
No, does my accent give me away?
You could have been from a posh part of Birmingham.
Yeah, true.
4 Oaks or something.
Yeah, no, I'm not from Birmingham. I feel like I'm an adopted Brummie. I've been here for 10 years. Or have I been saying 10 years for a year? Somewhere around the 10-year mark.
10 or 11 years.
Yeah. I said 8 years for 10 years and then had to upgrade it. I never said 9, interestingly. I don't know why. Yeah, I moved up here for a completely different job. Feels like a lifetime away. But yeah, I've been here in the Jewellery Quarter for a decade now.
What was it that brought you to Birmingham, and what job was it?
So my career history is really a strange one. So at the time I was in medical sales. So I was selling spinal implants to surgeons.
Spinal implants?
do. And I moved up for promotion. So I was managing the Midlands for this kind of emerging spinal surgery technology company. So I moved up for that, and then had 8 years in museums, as you do.
How did you get from one to the other?
Food and drink festivals.
How did you go from medical to the museums?
So medical sales is a really strange environment. Like, I mean, so my degree was in social sciences. So I did like politics, economics, that kind of thing. And then spent years in operating theatres, showing surgeons like new technology of how to do things like disc replacements or scoliosis corrections, that kind of thing. But I did have a science degree as it happens, but I mean, definitely not a medical degree. And it's a really intensive environment. It's like a very intense sales environment, and it took its toll, is the honest truth. It wasn't for me at the end. I wasn't really so interested in kind of chasing that bonus that kind of what keeps people in that industry hanging on. It didn't become what motivated me anymore. And yeah, I had a friend that worked in the museums in HR, and she said, you used to love volunteering when you were at uni. And I was like, I did. I ran the volunteer society. Of course I did. That's absurd, isn't it? Volunteer society. Yeah, I also ran the Entrepreneurship Society and the Social Enterprise Society. So that tells you everything you need to know about my
So you had a lot
personality,
of
doesn't it?
societies.
Yeah. But yeah, she said, we've got this volunteer manager role going, like, you should go for it. And I just thought, why not? A bit of a change of pace. And yeah, I got the job by some miracle. Some crazy spinal surgery salesperson coming in to say I can manage volunteers in a museum.
You got unlucky, because if you took that path today, you could have just made a fortune making YouTube courses. Like all the entrepreneur bros.
But yeah, so I was in the museums then. I was only volunteer manager for a short period of time, but that period in the museums, it was basically what changed my impression and kind of my love really for Birmingham. Because when I moved up for the medical sales role, I got up at 6 a.m, was in the car out to Coventry Hospital, Nottingham Hospital, one of the Birmingham hospitals, and was getting back really late. And I just, I basically saw the Lord Clifton and my road in the Jewellery Quarter, and that was pretty much it. And it was only when I got into the museums and kind of my job to start understanding more about kind of the city, and I was managing like 600 volunteers that were all just people that loved the city enough to want to volunteer in the museums. I mean, those are people that are pretty blooming
600?
passionate. Yeah, 600
Wow.
volunteers kept that trust across 9 museums going. I think it's even bigger a number now, actually. So that's when I really started to love it. And then a new job came up that was commercial development manager, and I went for that and did that for about a year. And then my boss, the commercial director, left, and I went for that job, and I was commercial director for the 9 museums in the city for, I think it was about 8 years in the end.
What did you enjoy most about Birmingham at that time?
At that time, I think I just had no idea that some of the heritage properties that I looked after existed. So I hadn't heard of like Sarehall Mill, or Aston Hall, or any of those places, and visiting them and just kind of seeing these incredible places that, if they were, frankly, at most other places in the UK, would have been determined, as these gems of the UK. I mean, Aston Hall is an extraordinary example of a Jacobean mansion, and should be much better known in the UK. And so discovering those places and being part of a team trying to kind of rectify that and trying to figure out ways to put those places on the map was a real thrill, actually. It was really exciting. I mean, I remember when Joe came to us and said, we're talking about Independent Birmingham Festival going there, that was game-changing for Aston Hall, because it was putting it on the map for people that had definitely never heard of that place before.
First time I went there was Independent Birmingham.
Yeah, and me. Didn't know it was there, just walked around. I was like, what?
I kind of seen it there. I knew it was there, but I didn't realise what it was or how nice it was inside. The fact you could go inside it and stuff on there the day, and that was class.
Yeah, it was very cool. And then Antiques Roadshow filmed there just before I left, which is another moment kind of in time for that property. So that was really exciting. But I mean, because of my role as commercial director, I looked after the heritage properties, so those kind of places. But the main bulk of my role was the retail side of things, the e-commerce side, food and drink. So it was like places like the Edwardian tea rooms were under my remit. And I think one of the things I really loved was seeing how the food and drink element and the retail element kind of meshed, or didn't mesh in some cases, with that heritage offer. Finding ways to kind of holistically think about a property that included the moment that people stopped to eat and drink, the moment that they take a memory home in the shop. Bringing it all together was kind of wonderful. I miss that, actually.
We were saying with Tom when we had I Choose Tom on the podcast. Like
I Choose Tom, is that the new
That's his new name.
the new name? I do choose you, Tom. I choose Tom. Start a campaign.
So we were saying about how, for some reason, Brummies, we don't like to shout about ourselves enough as a city. We're just like, oh yeah, Aston Hall, yeah, it's brilliant, but that's none of your business.
Yeah, not going to tell anyone else about it.
It's just Aston Hall. It's just Aston Hall,
It's just Aston Hall. Yeah, completely. But I mean, and that is, it's such a thing, isn't it? That approach of Brummies. But I think that is changing, and I listened to that episode, and I think Tom was spot on with saying, actually we all have a role to play in changing this, and like if we can't champion our city, then why would anyone else? So I think it's I see it more and more now, people being much more kind of confident about how great Birmingham is, and I hope in some way our festivals are part of that change, that sea change, really.
Have you found many people come in from outside of Birmingham for your festivals?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So we obviously evaluate the festivals each year, and certainly we've seen an increase an increased percentage of people that are coming in for overnight stays. So that's great, because in terms of an economic impact of what we're doing, that's fantastic. I think for Restaurant Festival, we were at about 5% coming from outside of the West Midlands and about 20% coming from the West Midlands, the bulk being Birmingham. But the strategy would certainly be to change that. Like, fantastic, I want people locally to enjoy that festival, but I also want it to be a reason for you to come for a foodie break in the city. So I think, ask me again in 5 years' time, and that will have changed even more.
So you started Cocktail Weekend while you were at the museums?
Yeah.
Why did you start it?
So I have always loved kind of going out and drinking cocktails. It's as simple as that. So I haven't worked in a bar. I've really had some great experiences of visiting venues. And when I've moved up to Birmingham, I remember really, bear in mind, this is 10 years ago. So, very different experience to what people are having moving to the city now. So I think at that time, I Choose, Independent Birmingham were both in their infancy. If not, I'm not sure they'd both started at that point.
I think it's all from 2012 onwards, like Digbeth Dining Club, Independent Birmingham, I Choose, all kind of came
at the same time, didn't it?
That was like the ground zero bang.
Yeah,
spark.
Completely. So at that moment, when I came to the city, I was kind of looking at like, okay, so I want to go for a great cocktail. Where do I go? And I really struggled to find, I don't know, a directory or something I could look at that said, oh, these are the places to go. And I was lucky. I had a few friends in the city, but not loads at the time. I was new to the place. And a few people took me around to like their favourites. And, at the time it was Lost and Found, Bureau Bar, those kind of places. Obviously Lost and Found still there. Great stuff.
Yeah, nothing wrong with them.
Yeah. But that was the extent of the kind of the knowledge that my friend group at the time had, and I couldn't find anything else. And then I slowly started kind of investigating off my own back and finding other places, and went, do you know what? I can't be the only one having this difficulty going, I want to spend my money, I want to go out and go to some great places and have some great drinks, and I don't know where to go. Could there be a concept of an event that brings people together and encourages them to explore different venues? And that's kind of where it began. And that's one of the kind of pillars of Living for the Weekend, the company that does all of these now. That is, we want people to explore the city that they're in, and be that as a local person that's just venturing away from their favourite pub, or venturing away from getting an excuse to go back to a bar they really love. Or it's someone coming to the city for the first time that doesn't know where to start. What great way to explore and figure out what a place is about than going around amazing bars or amazing restaurants and meeting other people that are on that same journey. So it's definitely kind of one of the core premises is really about placemaking and that kind of exploration of a city. Another for us has always been about getting people to try new things. So one of the things we do differently as a cocktail festival is most cocktail festivals in the UK at least will tell you which drinks are in which venues. It's a bit of a point of contention every year. People really want to know what's where. But we don't tell people, because I know if someone turns up at a venue and thinks that they might not like tequila in a cocktail, but they're there with their friends and it's £5, they'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And we know, because I get feedback every year, both from venues and the customers, saying, yeah, I tried different things this year that I wouldn't have tried if you kind of hadn't forced me, and I really liked X or Y. And I appreciate that doesn't work for everyone. And actually, it didn't work for Wine Weekend. So we changed the approach for the last year of Wine Weekend, and we tell people exactly what wines are where now. But for Cocktail Weekend, it does work. And so we're encouraging people to explore new places, to try new things. And then the kind of third element, really, beyond getting introduced to our partners and brand sponsors and the kind of amazing people that make it possible to do what we do, it's all about a social experience. I want people to talk to each other, look at the map together and go, where are we going to go next? Where's near? Where do you like? I want people, I love it when I see it, to be talking to other people that have got wristbands on and going, where have you been? What do you love? And it's the main reason we've not yet moved away from the cloth wristband and the paper guidebook, is because of that social experience. So I know if you see someone else with a wristband on, chances are you're going to have a chat to them. Where have you been? What did you? Oh, I love that one. Did you like that one? And if you see the guidebook, you sat down at a table with your group of friends. We've always got note pages, always encourage people to bring pens. They're circling, they're rating out of 10. It's a completely different connection that you're having with the group you're with. It's more memorable, it's more exciting. So those are that's a bit of a curve off your question, but it's three really important things.
It's got to be beneficial for all the places as well. Because surely you go in, if you try one cocktail that's there's the £5 one, you're like, well, should we have one more here before we move on, or should we do this, or I'm coming back to this place, this was great. Like, it must have so many benefits for the city.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And we kind of describe it to venues that are getting involved for the first year as almost like a calling card. It's, it's your opportunity to be positioned in front of people that love food and drink. So you make your cocktail what you want to reflect, how you want to reflect your venue. That's why we describe them as signature cocktails. Like, reflect your venue well, give a great service, give a great experience during that festival, and yeah, absolutely, people will come back. But we also know that people use our website in that way, and because we see the analytics, so it doesn't just drop off after the festival. All year round, people are looking at that venue page, and I think it's because we kind of have accidentally created not accidentally, but very purposefully, but we've created this directory of places that people know do cocktails and do them well. So yeah, hopefully we're a useful tool kind of year round as well as in that festival window.
What was the lineup like for that first one? How many was there?
Great question. I think it was around 20 venues.
Pretty decent.
Yeah, and so we had the Hub at Island Bar. I remember that really well. Mm-hmm. I think I hired like a fire eater, and I really, to this day, don't really know why.
Just to do it.
I've
always fancy having like a fire eater on hand. Yeah. Was he just following you around for the weekend?
There was this woman on the door just like setting people on fire as she came in. It was, I still really think about that, wondering why I spent my budget on a fire eater. But I mean, maybe for the story. But yeah, for about 1,000 people that year. So it's gone from 1,000 people, 20 odd venues, up to now we get close to 4,500. Our biggest year 5, we had 50 venues. And now we kind of look at between 40 and 45. That fits really well with the number of people, and we kind of adjust the number of venues and the number of people so that you don't get an experience of people can't get in places, or venues don't see as many people as they'd like to see. It's kind of a bit of a balancing act. So this year, for the first time, we had a waiting list of venues that we couldn't get on. So obviously it's really sad then when 2 couldn't be part of the lineup, but it was too last minute to add others on. But yeah.
Must have been weird though, like to approach them places in that first day and say, "I've got this wicked plan." Like, did they buy into it straight away, or did need convincing? Or
yeah, it was a bit of a hard slog, to be honest, to start with, because I'm this girl that's turned up from medical sales, like from just outside London, that's never worked in a bar, and is kind of turning up and being like, "All right, guys, I've had this idea. Do you want to do it?" But I think. And it's a real reason why whenever I can now, if people come to me and say, I'm trying to set up X, I'm trying to set up Y, I really try and help, because I got that off the ground because enough people in this industry saw me and the idea I had and what we wanted to achieve, or I wanted to achieve, and when I want to be part of that, and I think you can do it. I remember the first article, I think it was the Birmingham Mail ran this article on Birmingham Cocktail Weekend might be coming to the city, and there might be some venues. And it was very much and if it happens, they will be £4 cocktails. But other than that, most people really just engaged with it and embraced it, and it's gone from strength to strength because everyone has bought into it. But no, there was definitely a moment in the early days where I was kind of selling my skills, shall we say, trying to convince people. But yeah, testament to everyone involved that we pulled it off in that first year, and it's gone from there.
You say you get people approach you now who are looking to start events and stuff, and you try and give them advice. Do you have a favourite piece of advice you would give them?
So the thing I try more to offer is kind of connections, actually. So when people come to me and say, I'm thinking about this, my head immediately goes to, who do I know? It's not always me that can offer that advice. Of course, I can give some advice on, what success we've had in terms of, marketing tactics, in terms of suppliers we use, in terms of timescales for planning, all those kind of things. I'm always happy to sit down and chat about those. But the thing that helped me most was people in the hospitality industry connecting me with other people. So saying, oh, do you know what? I know the person that owns that bar, or I know this brand rep. That's what started Cocktail Weekend in that early first year. The thing that I couldn't have got from anyone. It had to be lots of different people, really. So that's the thing I kind of try and give back if I can, really, to say, oh, do you know what? I know someone that could help you with that, or I know the GM there that might want to hear from you on that. But that's Birmingham through and through.
Nice and practical then, because sometimes you just get a nice inspirational quote from a book, but you get hands on and give them an actual network.
Was there anyone specifically that you found a massive help early on?
Do you know what? There was a brand rep, Luke Toddwood. He was fantastic. He still works in the industry. He was working for Edrington UK. It wasn't Edrington at the time, and he really just bought into it and went, yeah, I'm going to connect you with this person. I'm going to connect you with this person. I'm going to connect you with that person. That was definitely the beginning of things.
Do you have a favourite memory from the 9 years?
Fire eater.
That's why I had him.
Do I have a favourite memory? Do you know, I loved cutting the birthday cake for year 5, and we had like a 3-tier cake, handing it out to like the first couple of 100 people that came to the hub, and I insisted on handing out every slice myself, so I got to like chat to everyone. I mean, I get to chat to everyone every year anyway. That's a massive highlight for me, but it was just so amazing for people to be like, I've been to every one, this is my 5th one, I've really loved it. And that is a highlight for me every year. It's one of the reasons I work on the hub still. Like, a lot of people say, you know, a bit hands-on, like you step back now, you're trying to run the business, don't work in the business, work on the business. And I completely believe that and think it's important to do that. But in this moment, when the festival's happening, there is nothing more valuable to me than being in the hub, seeing everyone start their cocktail adventure, hearing people say, we do this every year together, or we know exactly where we're going, who do you think is going to win the competition this year? All that chatter is amazing. And actually, it's also incredibly useful. So the reason we've introduced non-alcohol alternatives this year is because there has been a lot of chatter over the years of saying, do you know where would do a good mocktail? My friend's, you know, pregnant or whatever and can't come and have this, but she wants to come on the journey still, that kind of thing. And it's why we introduce, you know, dog-friendly icons in the book. Oh, I've got my dog with me. Do you know where I can go? We wouldn't have got that intel, you know, that insight without being there chatting to people. But I think that probably every year is a highlight, just meeting people.
There you go. You do know hospitality. You just didn't know it.
Yeah,
that is basically the essence of hospitality, is connecting with people.
Yeah, well, exactly, and that's I think why the festivals work so well for the businesses that we're working with, because we're sharing that goal, and that just the thing that I get to do is create something that is a champion for multiple venues, and I think that's the reason I think it can be a real tool for showcasing Birmingham on a national, international scale, because it's not just, you know, me trying to push one venue. I'm saying I've got 45 fantastic bars doing something really cool. This is an excuse. This is a hook to talk about the cocktail scene in Birmingham, and same for the restaurant scene. It's the hook to talk about our city in a different way. That's what's exciting about the festivals. But you're right, there's absolutely like shared goals, otherwise people wouldn't buy into it.
I was going to say, I think it's nice as well that you haven't got like an ulterior motive or can't be accused, because you haven't got like shares in any of these places. You do it purely for the love. It's a bit like us. We do this purely for the love of the places. I mean, that's nice. Someone can't accuse you of that as well. You're kind of bulletproof.
Precisely. There's that. Exactly that. I've got no stakes in any of the venues that I'm talking about, and I would intend to keep it that way for that exact reason. And it's still hard. Don't get me wrong. I still get people contacting me if I've got a good article that's gone out. I'm like, well, why did they pick those venues? And often, I really try and encourage press to to choose their own venues to showcase, or to select which cocktails they want to talk about in articles that's to suit their audience. Just to kind of keep as fair as I can do, really, in that kind of line of communication.
It's one of them things with cocktails is like, well, for me, they're on a par with a great meal. If you can have a fantastic, because they're so individual as well, and the person making it. It's not like going somewhere and having a woo-woo in Wetherspoons, or going somewhere else and having the same one and going, oh, this one's got too much orange juice. Like, these are creations. People are like going to massive efforts a lot of the time, especially at the high-end places, to make these incredible creations. And as much work goes into the prep for these as it would a really fancy meal a lot of the time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that it's really interesting you say that, because I've been talking a lot about this with bars in the city when we were looking at introducing this no alcohol alternative as well, because the dialogue was, these drinks are getting the same amount of love and attention as the drinks with booze in them. And yet there's just this kind of value proposition issue with a drink without alcohol in it. So we were talking about how we price that alternative. And it just prompted a dialogue exactly as you've just said, that like, these drinks have got a lot of time and love and energy that have gone into them. And what's really nice now is a lot of venues will do kind of internal cocktail competitions to find their cocktail for the festival. So there is someone, often I get to meet them when we do the kind of tastings and the photo days. There's someone that's their baby. They've made it. They've won something. It's named after their grandma, or something really. That's actually genuinely for one of them this year. I think there's real love and attention that's gone into those drinks, and that's special. And you mentioned the people side, and we're trying to do that more now in Cocktail Weekend, is showcase the people behind the drinks. So for the entire time the festival's run, we've always revealed or released this photo album of the signature cocktails of the festival, and that's always been an incredibly popular album. Now, before we release that, we release the people behind the drinks, so this album of the bar teams or a bartender that's made that drink, and that is now nearly as popular an album as the photo album about the cocktails themselves. But I'd love to get more of the kind of people stories across in moving forward in the festival, because you're right, people really put their blood, sweat and tears into the drinks that they're serving.
Rob's alcohol-free drinks are just ridiculous.
They're as good as alcoholic cocktails.
They're the best drinks I've ever tasted, alcoholic or non-alcoholic. They're unbelievable,
because he puts the same amount of love and care into them. There's no doubt about it, and that is the case for lots of venues. Not it's an emerging space, I think. So we've taken the decision to introduce the no alcoholic alternatives. Only half the venues took us up on that. It's basically a trial this year. So about 50% of the venues said, yeah, do you know what, we'll give it a go, and we'll see how sales go for venues and how customers respond to it, whether it's a popular thing. So far, the data's telling me it's going to be popular, but you never know how that translates on the weekend. And my hope is that it will actually encourage people to up their game in that respect, where venues aren't putting as much love into it, because there's definitely a mix in the city. Lots of people doing great stuff, and others that probably aren't giving that side of their menu as much attention, and part of that will be because of the sales figures for it.
Well, you'd hope some people would see it as a challenge more than anything, right? Well, I'm going to make a great non-alcoholic cocktail then.
And because in some ways, like, what a challenge, because some of the no alcohol spirits or those alternatives in this space, some of them are good, and there are some real emerging players in that field, but there's a long way to go with a lot of them, and it is really difficult to get some of those sensations of alcohol into a drink that doesn't have a spirit in it. And people do all sorts of fascinating things with chili, with pepper, to get that kind of fire to a drink. But getting that balance right is hard too, and how that changes the balance of the drinks. There's so much to think about when you're trying to in any way replicate alcohol in that in a drink. But I mean, some people don't try and do that, and it's just a different proposition. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating thing, and I'm really excited about seeing how those go down, and hopefully it'll be popular enough that we can make it a mandatory thing. You have to create a signature cocktail and a signature no alcohol alternative in order to participate, and that will hopefully be another step change in what everyone's doing.
It makes sense. I think you might have a couple, not saying me and Carla, a couple, me and my wife, we'd go out, I don't want to go to that because I don't, what's the point of me going to that? I don't drink, makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, from a trends perspective, it's a movement, and our demographic will, everything will change over the years, and everything I'm reading is saying kind of younger people drinking less. So let's see how that plays out, and whether those trends continue. But it felt to me like a good thing to be able to offer our customers right now. It felt like a good thing to be able to kind of encourage venues to do, and it felt like the right time to give that a try and establish that as something that's core to what we do.
It's the right. I mean, like, it was probably good when you started, but the cocktail game in Birmingham at the moment is so strong as well.
Completely transformed.
Like, we've got like top 50 cocktail bar lists. They're pretty much all the big players are in there now.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, so I'm one of there's a massive academy of judges for the UK top 50 cocktail bar list. And I play a very, very tiny role in that. I get to place a vote on that. And but what I do is invite people up for cocktail weekend every year to get people into the city that get a vote or that know that awards mechanism. And I want people to see Birmingham. And I remember when we first started doing that, and people would say, where should I go while I'm up? Where do you recommend me going to see? And it was, okay, I'm going to give you a few places, and there's some really great people doing really great stuff. And now I'm like, you need longer than a day. Like, you've got a lot to go after here.
You wouldn't make it for the day of just naming the good cocktail places in Birmingham. You couldn't do them all in one day.
No, and actually, I mean, I was thrilled. So this year we've got Ikigai coming back. So obviously they were in the Jewellery Quarter last year. So it's our first ever pop-up for Cocktail Weekend this year, and they're doing a pop-up with Hendrick's Gin at the Coffin Works. So we're kind of if that works, there's also hopefully, or certainly part of my kind of future planning is if people respond well to that, if it works well for Luke and the team, then that opens up some doors to bring other players from outside of that kind of city centre core in. And so we can really reflect kind of everyone that's doing awesome stuff in Birmingham in the cocktail space.
That was first. Was restaurant one second or wine?
Wine Weekend was second. So Wine Weekend was 2018, I think, maybe 2017. Started with a similar premise: wristband, guidebook, £4 glasses of wine. Events were a bigger hitter for Wine Weekend. So wine dinners, we partnered with the Wine Events Company and did all sorts of kind of cool, higher ticket price point kind of events through them. But every year, Wine Weekend... So I look back at Cocktail Weekend every year and I'm really pleased with it. There's always something I want to tweak, something I want to change, something I think has potential. But I'd get to the end of Wine Weekend and go, I know people had a great time. The evaluation was always really positive, but it was never what I really wanted it to be for the city. I could never quite pinpoint why. So we kept trying different things and changing different things. And I think we got closest to what I want it to be the last time the festival ran. So we invested in an app. We gave people all the tasting notes, the wines in advance, the tasting notes for those wines. I kind of challenged the bars of Birmingham to come up with wines that were interesting. That was the brief. Like, give me wines that people might not have heard of, that might not have thought to try. And as I said, you could go into the app and find out what was where, which was the fundamental difference between Wine Weekend and Cocktail Weekend, but really was just what the audience was screaming for. And I get that. We added more events into the mix. We did like a wine tour of the Jewellery Quarter, which was really popular. That was wicked. We brought suppliers in, kind of for the first time, producers in to talk about what they were doing, which we hadn't done before. And it went really well. It was really exciting, but I still got to the end of that festival and went, this isn't it. I don't know what's wrong, but this isn't it. So that's still my work in progress, Wine Weekend. It's not dead in the water. It's not gone. And we've been running the wine roundup for nearly a year now, which is just an e-newsletter that goes out once a month, covering all the cool wine events in the city that are running whilst Wine Weekend's not happening. We've done some kind of partnerships, like we celebrated World Champagne Day with Arch 13 and did like a champagne flight. There's a couple of things coming up that will be cool too. But that one is definitely the thing that is just needs something else, and I will figure it out, and and it will be brilliant, but it's just good at the moment, and that's not what I want for the wine scene in Birmingham. It deserves better, and I want to give it better. I just haven't hit the nail on the head with that one yet.
Do you still work with Tony?
Yeah.
Tony's a legend, isn't he?
Yeah, so Tony is doing some wine events for Restaurant Festival this year.
Yeah.
So wine lunch at Chapter and a wine tasting dinner at Zindia. I love working with Tony. I'm going to Mamma Mia with Prosecco this weekend. Don't mind me.
Oh, his movie nights look mad.
Yeah, they look cool. That's the only time where I think, I wish I did drink just so I could experience them things.
They do them very well. I love that they do those things.
Yeah.
There's some great players. I love working with Loki. I love working with Arch 13. Really loved working with Vinoteca. I think Vagabonds are great. There's lots of great places doing really cool stuff with wine.
Vinoteca was sad how it just fizzled
gutted.
out. It's just... It just felt like they didn't really put the same effort in as they did anywhere else,
I think it was an incredible venue. I think it was difficult to maybe for people walking past to understand what it was or who it was for. But I loved
it
it
was expensive rent as well.
For sure. They needed that to work, didn't they, in a building? I don't know who will take that space. It'll be interesting to see.
It's just a bad thing you see now. You get these places that are massive, and then people, you've got to be massive to move in there then, once you've got a massive place.
Someone was telling us who was going there, but I can't remember who it was.
I don't remember that.
Maybe you'll remember when the mics are off. If you could remember when we finished.
It's got Wetherspoons written on it.
No.
Don't say that.
Gutted. Yeah, because I really want a Hawksmoor, and they were like, "Oh, you are going to be gutted because it's going to be this instead." And I was like,
Nice.
I could have guessed with the vent that we predicted.
It'd have to be something big, wouldn't it? There's no other way.
Yeah.
I've never been to Hawksmoor, but I just draw at their pictures on socials.
And my friends, like London friends, say just fabulous things. So
they were like, they chose New York over Birmingham. I don't know if I can forgive them for that.
Shocking.
No.
That's a fight, isn't it?
At least
we'll keep fighting it.
Come to Birmingham before you go abroad. Jesus. Even Dishoom came to Birmingham.
Oh, man.
How did the restaurant festival's second year this year?
Yeah, so last year was kind of proof of concept, if you will. Can this work? Can this do something cool? And this year's like the exciting year, really. Really, really excited about Restaurant Festival and what it can do.
What made you want to do it? Just had too much spare time.
Yeah,
all this other stuff you were doing.
Do you know?
On top of your full-time job.
So actually, Restaurant Festival, the idea came, when I was still commercial director at Birmingham Museums, but the delivery came afterwards, thankfully. Otherwise, I'd have some grey hairs, I think, on my head by now. So interestingly, Restaurant Festival kind of came out of some rage rather than like a real, like, I want to show people the city. I was furious that Birmingham didn't have a restaurant festival because I was doing a bit of research on other festivals in the UK and abroad, and the places that had restaurant festivals, and Birmingham's food scene was like much better. You can Google it. Google Restaurant Festivals UK or Restaurant Festivals the world. And there are places with far less established, far less exciting centres of extraordinary cooking than Birmingham. Like, insane to me that we didn't have something like this. We obviously have got food festivals, and that's great, but we didn't have anything that was giving people that opportunity to go and experience a restaurant in situ. So that's the difference, right, with our festivals to food festivals that take place in, halls or in fields or those kind of things. This isn't about just a taster of what you can have in a venue. It's about the full experience of that venue. I want you to go in and actually sit in a rel and see the view and eat Chris's food and have that whole experience so that you want to come back and have the full price menu. That's the ask. That's the excitement. But we didn't have something like that. And I remember initial conversations were with Colmore Bid because they were the ones that kind of shared that ambition and had similar ideas. But I really wanted it to be broader than just that space, and they were really on board with that. And that's where that one started with, why do we not have this? Okay, great. There's someone that's going to support the kind of research and the development of this. Fantastic. Okay, we can build from here. Then there are a couple of other bids came on board, a couple of booze brands through those relationships with Cocktail Weekend, and suddenly it became a premise that we could explore. Setting these things up isn't cheap. You just think of all the basics of like websites, brand development, that kind of stuff. But we did it, got buy-in from some really great places, had really good feedback off year one. Not the numbers I'd want to see moving forward, but for year one, great. And then for year two, now the kind of exciting opportunity to partner with the Birmingham Festival that's taking place the first weekend of Restaurant Festival. The conversation we had with them was really about saying, yes, okay, you're going to have food stands and encourage people to do picnics in Centenary Square, and that's kind of what this free cultural festival has to and is going to be about. But they also wanted to see how that festival could, with our help, support hospitality venues too. And what I was saying is, well, if you want to do that, if anyone wants to do that, it has to be about encouraging people into those spaces, not just giving restaurants a pop-up space where you are, because that's expensive, number one, for those venues to do. Not all venues can do it. The best way you can support those venues is by getting bums on seats in the venues themselves.
You kind of lose the essence of the restaurant though. You ask any street food trader what it's like, it's nightmare. So to get a restaurant to try and take pack up their shit and take it to a tent or a gazebo.
When it's not what they do day to
It's
day.
a nightmare. And then half of the magic of a restaurant is the whole experience. It's the atmosphere, it's the ambience, the front of house. It's everything that contributes to a good night in a good restaurant.
It's not a fair reflection of their food.
Yeah, no, street food's brilliant because it's meant to be street food. It's meant to be done like that. It's meant to be the buzz. It's meant to be raw. It's completely different to what you're doing. Just amazing, like.
Well, and it's a restaurant festival, not a food festival, and there's a place for both.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is exactly what you've said. Give people that opportunity to have a holistic customer service, that holistic dining experience.
So how does this one differ in how it works compared to the other two?
So for both Cocktail Weekend and Wine Weekend, you buy a ticket and then you get access for Wine Weekend to the app, or for Cocktail Weekend to the guidebook and wristband I mentioned. For Restaurant Festival, as a customer, you literally subscribe on our website, so you get kind of the first to know when stuff goes live. But right now, the menus and the venues are all live on our site. So if someone wanted to go and be part of Restaurant Festival, they go onto our website, go onto the Explore Restaurants page, search for whether they're looking for lunch or dinner, or cuisine, what area, pick the place they want to have a look at. On the website is the festival menu, see what you fancy, see if there's anything on that you want to eat. Great. There's a booking instruction on each page, so it might either be you have to specifically mention Birmingham Restaurant Festival in like the reservation notes section, or for some venues it's just you have to use this particular link and it's set up so they can track who's chosen to go for the Restaurant Festival menu, and that's it. Then you turn up 28th of July to the 27th of August and enjoy all those festival menus. And the concept is different again to Wine and Cocktail Weekend. So for those, it's a set price, right? So every venue that's participating has to create a signature cocktail for that £5 marker. For Restaurant Festival, and you guys, obviously this will be really obvious to you guys, but we didn't want to force anyone into a kind of a box to say this it's gonna be a set menu for £30, because some venues would be able to do way better than that. Other venues wouldn't want to or couldn't get close. So for Restaurant Festival, the brief to the restaurants is create the best possible value for money that a customer can get in your venue at that point in time. So that might be a £69 tasting menu at Arel, or it might be a £10 two-courser at the Alchemist. Horses for courses, but it's the best value you can get at that point in time.
Great value. What the normal tasting menu at Arel's 120 or something, so it's pretty much half price.
Yeah, it's up there, isn't it?
It's definitely something close, I'm sure it is. And then
I was looking at it the other day. Some of the offers are incredible.
Yeah, really, really good.
Great lunch break just looking at all the menus.
Yeah, but you don't charge it. Like, there's no extra charge. Like, it's not like the cocktail where you buy a wristband.
No.
This is just people go on, book it. There's no extra.
There is no charge at all, which is obviously a massive flaw in my own business model.
I was going to say, that's going to be the question.
I love
what's the
Birmingham
advantage?
too much.
I was going to say, where's the advantage for yourself now?
That's the challenge. I'll figure that one out. Yeah,
the 50p booking fee.
Yeah, maybe I'll start to add that on. Yeah, I mean, this is. I mean, you guys are sitting here doing this, for free. You fall in love with the city, you want to make it work. My goal with Restaurant Festival is obviously moving forward that it will be a contributor to the company. At this point, financially, it is not, but it is for the city, and actually that genuinely is important to me. I mean, that tells you everything about how adopted I feel into this city. I can't really visualize living anywhere else. I feel absolutely like it's home. I've loved my journey here. Being part of the museums definitely was part of that, and kind of understanding the heritage and the history of the city. But I love where we are. I love the path the city's on, and if I can play a role in some way in supporting the awesome people in the hospitality space doing cooler and cooler stuff in this city, then great, fantastic. No, this festival at this point isn't going to be the thing that, means I can pay my sky high electricity bills or whatever, but I want to get it there, and I think it will eventually be great. But right now, if it's great for the city, that's absolutely enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, eventually there'll be sponsorship opportunities and stuff like that. It will come.
Here's hoping.
I'm not promising that. Don't say
Liam
and Breaking Bread
promised. Are you going to sponsor? I'll send you the info pack.
don't go quoting me on that. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, I'm pretty sure it will come. But we're glad you're doing it, because it's kind of like we're just championing them restaurants, and all contributes to the city. I don't know. You might not be able to. You might be Did you have a favourite menu last year?
Everyone always wants to know what my favourite bars are, my favourite restaurants, and I always swerve this question. So watch me swerve. No, okay. So
I'll ask
last
you
year,
for a couple of highlights.
no, that was a good.
Yeah.
Actually, your question was a very fair question. Last year, did I have a favourite menu? I really enjoyed Le Petit Bois' tasting menu. I had a really great time there, and I love the team there. And I think at that point it was the first time that they'd done a tasting menu, and that's kind of I think it was. I'm trying to think now. I'm pretty sure.
As Le Petit Bois, yeah.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
People are going to think we didn't tell you to say that because obviously they're our friends. So we talk about them all the time.
They mentioned a lot on the podcast.
Honestly, no.
You didn't say before we started recording. Make sure you mention
Just
Le
mention
Petit Bois.
No, and we're also doing a supper club with them actually in the festival. So
nice.
I've got to admit, when I was looking through the
gonna be cool.
website, there's the one that stood out to me. I was like, right, I'm booking that one.
I think it's no coincidence though, but I remember them talking about it last year, and Ben was like, "You want to see the menu we've done for this? It kills it." You know, when someone's put that much passion into it, you know it's going to come out well. And even this year looks wicked.
Yeah, completely.
And chicken with the chicken skin. Oh.
But that's the thing, isn't it? They put their heart and souls into that, and they wanted it to work. And when we were looking at where to do the supper club, so we've got Lefroy. We're looking to pair them with a restaurant in the city for our August supper club, and it felt like a really cool fit. So
I did see this pop up, and I was like, "Oh, hello."
So that's
problem is I don't know when to go.
You guys together forever, surely.
It's the way he doesn't drink there.
Ah, yeah, double the whiskey for you.
Yo, that's not a bad shout. That's not a bad shout.
So that will be cool. But that was a great menu last year. There's a lot of really good ones this year. You have to go on the website to have a look.
Check it out. Have you got any other weekend festival ideas coming up?
Oh, hang on. So, before that, why is it a week, not a weekend?
So,
why is it a month?
A month,
not a weekend.
Yeah. So last year it was Birmingham Restaurant Festival. So there's no weekend in the brand for that one. So I'm free to make it as long as we want it to be. So last year it was 2 weeks, and the initial intention was for it to stay as 2 weeks. But when we were looking at the partnership with the Birmingham Festival, to do that, it was around extending it so that our dates aligned with theirs. And it just felt like a perfect opportunity for for both festivals to work together and kind of bring culture and food. I've talked about my kind of history and past career, and that's really important to me. So it was such an exciting opportunity. I wanted to find a way to make that work. So we extended the festival to meet those deadlines and meet that time frame for Birmingham Festival 23, which I'm thrilled we were able to do and thrilled we were able to work together. But the reality is, if it works for the venues, then I absolutely see the festival continuing to be a month long, because it gives people more opportunities in what is otherwise a really quiet time in the city to go and dine out. So if it works, if this year the evaluation tells me that venues got more out of it being a month and our festival goers loved it because they got to eat at more places, then yeah, great, let's do it for a month.
I was going to say, it's not like a drink or a wine where you can just go and have 3 different places in one day. The restaurant, you can only go like once a week, really, if it's one of the higher end ones.
Precisely.
So yeah, it gives people plenty of time to try a few more.
We've got a few more kind of lunch deals and lunch offers in there this year, which I think is exciting and can open up opportunities for people to eat out more often. But yeah, I mean, we're in a cost of living crisis at the end of the day as well. So having a month and giving people, I think there's at least one payday within that mix. I think it's, it felt like the right time to trial it, felt like a good length of time, and it'll just be whether what the data tells me at the end of it now.
Very professional. Everything's data driven.
Do it's funny. I definitely wasn't that in the early days. I do really like data. I really like stats, and I like being able to make business decisions based on data. That gives me, like, as a former commercial director, that is just where my head goes. But I do a lot on gut instinct. And I used to be really nervous about saying, oh, if my gut's telling me this. And then I can't remember, I read somewhere, gut instinct is just, the combination of your experience and skill set, isn't it? That's, that is what that instinct is. Your life experience telling you why you think something is the right decision. So yes, absolutely, I am data-driven in what I do, but some of it is absolutely based on a gut feel. And for example, our first expansion going to Bristol, that's a gut feel. That's not data telling me that's the city with a bigger population size. That's not data. That is a gut feel that is an exciting and emerging scene that I want to be part of. And the people that we're working with felt good. And yeah, gut instinct on some of these things.
Bristol's a cool place, man. We've been to Bristol.
Yeah,
Bristol's
love
nice.
Bristol.
I like Bristol.
I think I'm only going to ever be able to work with places that begin with B. That's the accidental.
There's some cool places. Bath,
I know,
Yeah,
Bath,
Brighton,
Brighton, keep going.
all the cool ones.
Everywhere good school begins with B.
What were you going to ask before I asked?
Oh, yeah. So you've got all these. Is there any other weekend or any other festival ideas you've got coming up?
Not for this year. I really want to focus on getting Restaurant Festival off the ground fully. You know, year 2 is an important one. Year 3 will be equally as important. Those kind of first years of these kind of events are formative. So that's a real focus now. Cocktail Weekend knows what it is, knows who it's for. Venues know what it is and who it's for. Get great feedback from people every year. I'm really excited about kind of making tweaks to that festival, adjusting it and continuing to do things like adding the no alcohol alternatives and changing up the events, that kind of thing. And we will do some exciting stuff for the 10th birthday. So next year there's some cool ideas in play for what that will look like. But Restaurant Festival is the focus because it's just still forming. And so that kind of needs more of my time and energy at the moment. Yeah, there are other ideas like in the depths of my mind.
Don't want to go giving them away on here.
Yeah. Exactly. But what those look like remains to be seen. I can't really imagine as a company us kind of venturing away from the culture and hospitality spaces that we operate in currently. Those are places, that's like the industries that I am most personally drawn to, and I want to put my heart into these things as well as kind of my time and energy. So I think it's important that you've got love for the thing you do.
Is there anything Birmingham or food related that's important to you that we haven't spoke about yet?
I think, do you know what? It's just been really nice to chat about what the festivals can do for the city, and I suppose really just how it's you know, a lot of people say, so who's in the company? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's just me. So I do the Royal We quite a lot. I've noticed it. I think I've said us a few times on this podcast, actually. I'm like, yeah, us, me and my big team, me and my dog. I mean, but I say that, but actually it's an enormous team in some ways. It might only be me and the company, but actually, you know, I couldn't do any of this without the brilliant freelancers that I work with and all the venues. But is there anything else I kind of want to touch on other than to just really say thank you to those people that have supported us over the years in developing and growing the festivals, people that still continue to buy tickets for Cocktail Weekend and Wine Weekend and turn out to enjoy the festival menus. Like it's just awesome. I love it. I'm so grateful to kind of even be able to be chatting to you guys, you know, and talking about this stuff.
That's one thing we should bring up. So Cocktail Weekend's this weekend coming.
7th to the 9th of July.
And the Birmingham Restaurant Festival is
28th of July to the 27th of August.
So it's all close then.
Yeah, really, really close. So lots of opportunities to go and have great food and great drink in the next month, 2 months.
Get out there, support these places because they need it. They really do.
Absolutely.
We end on Carl's questions. Just a fun way, light-hearted way to finish the podcast.
Great.
Nothing too taxing, nothing too draining.
Well, I've just added one to the list now.
No.
Just for you.
Oh, no, it's not favourite venue.
No. I've been to court asking that before. I'm getting told off. This is not specific to a place, but what's your favourite classic cocktail?
Oh, I am torn between 3. Oh,
come on, say all 3 and we can rate them.
No, I'm going to go right now. Bloody love a pina colada.
Yeah, that's a popular cocktail, that is.
Fabulous. Day to day, I really love an old fashioned. I love all the twists on old fashions that people are doing. I had a really interesting twist on a cosmopolitan in Disrepute in London over the weekend. That was really cool and interesting, a bit more floral. But yeah, I'm sticking with my guns. Pina colada, because it's summer, and who doesn't love a pina colada in the sunshine?
Pina coladas are great. I love an old fashioned. An old fashioned's definitely one of my favourite ones. I'd probably go martini's my favourite.
I
Very
just
The
thought
dirty
pina colada was
martini.
one of them things that no one ever really drunk.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Incorrect.
Schwartz, my wife's favourite
You're
cocktail. It's a
joking?
mum's
I
favourite
did not know that.
cocktail. Just people love them.
I thought they were a thing of the past. Like,
I'm sure we talked about it when we had
Baby
Tommy
Shan
on
or
the
something.
podcast because he loves pina colada as well, doesn't
That's a great
Tom
drink.
also likes Carlin.
Yeah.
he? Oh, no, Stella.
That's
Stella,
cool.
get it
I
right.
love
It's Stella.
that.
I know it's something rubbish. Like.
Back to the question. It's your favourite TV show?
Favourite TV show? Oh, it's such a bad answer. I wish I was cooler than I was. My favourite TV show is Grey's Anatomy, which is like an American hospital drama.
Yeah, I should know. Is that because of your
honestly-
job? Is
No,
why you liked it?
I just really love being back in
Yeah.
surgery. You know what? With questions like this, I wish I was like a fundamentally cooler human. But I bloody love Grey's Anatomy. Although actually, I really barely have time for TV at the moment. But that has been a
imagine.
kind of go-to for years.
What's your favourite film?
Favorite film? Ooh. I really love Wild. Seen Wild with Reese Witherspoon. I got really into long distance hiking recently.
I haven't seen it, but I know which one film you're on about.
So I did I walked across the UK last year on my own for fun, which was a mad idea in a heat wave, it turned out. And something about that film really, I really rate it.
That's not Into the Wild. No, different.
No, just the film Wild.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Walks
Into
the
the Wild?
PCT. Who's in it? What's it about? Maybe.
I don't think there's anyone famous in it, but it's basically like a rich college kid decides to give up his inheritance and just go into the wild in
No.
America.
I feel like I'd like that.
And he tries to live, I think, for a year in the wild. But I can't really say much else without spoiling it, but it's brilliant.
Give it a watch.
It's really brilliant. I did cry, just to warn you. It's sad. It is very sad.
I
but
do-
it's really good.
I do crime films, so that
Into- I
doesn't
think it was
bode well
based on a
for me.
book. I think there was a book. I think it's a
Ah.
true story, actually.
Oh.
Nice.
There you
What's
go.
your favourite band or artist?
I change a lot with music. So when you get your Spotify like write up at the end of the year, I'm the one that's
Yeah.
like delving into rabbit holes of new artists or artists you haven't heard of for years. So
Yeah.
mine definitely has to be a right now favourite. So I'm listening to Coin at the moment. It's a like pop rock band from Nashville, maybe. They're
Hmm.
like not big, I don't think now.
Yeah, I haven't heard of
Yeah, but there's this song called Talk Too Much that got me into them. It came up in like a Spotify playlist that, one of those recommended for you things. And I
Did you say Coin?
yeah. And I just listened to it non-stop and then I kind of delved into their
I'm surprised I never heard it. I
albums.
probably would have heard it without knowing it because I listen to a lot of Nashville and country and stuff.
it's not it's pop rock, I think, is like
Mm.
officially the genre, but I'm pretty sure I read they were out of Nashville. But yeah, I just really like their vibe at the moment. But I so change the tunes I listen to depending on my mood. But it's unbelievable.
What's your favourite big fast food chain?
Oh, I think it has to be McDonald's.
It's the most common answer, isn't it?
Oh,
Definitely.
I don't like being the most common.
But it's there for a reason because it's the same everywhere you go. Look, there's not much
Yeah.
difference between McDonald's anywhere in the world. You know what you're getting.
Yeah, I remember going as a kid and like it's a bit like there's a bit of nostalgia there. And I threw a surprise birthday party for one of my friends in like the McDonald's when I was like 13 or something. I just got some fond memories of chicken nuggets and strawberry milkshakes.
What
Yeah.
you order?
Chicken milkshake. Chicken milkshake. Oh,
Chicken
God. no.
milkshake.
Although.
Yeah, now we're talking chicken
Chicken
milkshake.
nuggets. Strawberry milkshake. Yeah. Every time, actually.
So for food and drink, other than Birmingham and Bristol, what's your favourite place in the whole world?
Ooh. I've got a real soft spot for New York because it's where the inspiration for Restaurant Festival came from. So I went out to New York to their Restaurant Festival in the kind of forming R&D phase of that festival and really loved it. I do also love London. I probably between those two.
It's hard not to bring London into the conversation. There's so many. It's just so
Fantastic.
alone. There's like 100 restaurants I want to eat at.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't get to go to London enough. But for both, drinking and eating, what an extraordinary place, and it's so close and so easy for us. Those both have absolutely kind of got a place in my heart. New York's one of the few cities that, when I can afford to, I go back to as well, like time and time again.
New York comes up a lot as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
I've
it's
been to
mentioned
New
a
York.
bit.
I've been a few times to New
Yeah.
York. I got engaged in New York.
Oh,
I love New York. Top of the Empire State.
No way.
Yeah. On
I love
day
that
before
for you.
Paddy's Day.
Oh,
It was green and everything.
wow.
Yeah.
Blech.
I'm
what-
like, oh,
I
it's
said-
so romantic,
said-
and you're like, oh.
I told my daughter that the other day in the car because it was at Legoland when we seen the statue Empire State, and I told her, she went, That's disgusting, Dad. And I was like, she's at that age, mate. It was disgusting. You know what? I thought it was going to be, because I'd done it like, we went to a Michelin star restaurant and then we went up there because it's open to like 2 or 3 in the morning, you know.
I didn't know.
So I went up there like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And in my mind, leading up to it, I thought, oh, it's going to be like empty, because I hate doing stuff like that, anything public like that. I got up there, it was rammed.
No.
I mean, like really rammed. And I was like, oh my God. And I didn't realise it was like March, so it was freezing.
Oh
so
my
like my
God.
wife was, my girlfriend at the time, she was in a dress. So she's like, I'm freezing. Why did you want to come here? She's like moaning like mad. And then she's like, can I have your jacket? Because I had the dinner jacket. And I was like, no, you can't, because it had the ring in my pocket. I was like, no, you can't. She's like, what do you
Get
mean?
off my jacket.
So you
Get your own
selfish
jacket.
fucker.
So it's like
Just
nothing,
freeze.
nothing like what I thought it would be like.
I love engagement stories that are like that, where something like the bloke's trying to make something happen and the girl's just
It just
having
did
none
not
of it.
go in my mind. It just was not like that, but it worked out all right. So.
It worked out all
Yeah,
right.
he's
That's
still
the
married.
important
All right,
thing.
We're married. It's all good.
There's no point having a plan with them things. I didn't even know I was going to do it.
Did you
Went down
not?
to London to see Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds at the Royal Albert Hall years ago now, this was. And literally had the ring, and I'd picked that out ages ago, and I had no idea I was going to do it. I was like, we'll go for a fancy meal. But then we had a massive lunch. I was like, oh, I can't go to that meal now. I don't know what we're going to do. I was like, oh. So
I'm just going to propose.
We'll just walk to the venue. And I was like, Siobhan, I've got some chocolate in my pocket. Do you want it? And then she went into the pocket and pulled out this box, and she was like, no. And I was like, well, I hope that's not the answer.
Oh. You guys, this is like the secret romantic side of the Breaking Bread podcast. Listeners, you're welcome.
There you
Cutting
go.
all of that.
Yeah, cutting out. Damn it.
We're into metal, you know. We've got a hard image to maintain.
By the time I'm finished with you, you'll be watching Grey's Anatomy,
I know,
listening
I'm
to
gonna go and watch it
Coin.
now.
Alex, this has been loads of fun. Really appreciate you coming on. I know how busy you must be. I don't know how you find the time to do anything. Thanks for championing Birmingham, championing our restaurants.
Thank you for letting me be part of the podcast. It's been great chatting to you guys.
Awesome.